The Weed of the Week is sponsored by the Enlist Weed Control System from Dow AgroSciences, a new herbicide and trait system that will build on glyphosate.
You work to protect your farm's legacy and to keep it going. Introducing the Enlist Weed Control System, an advanced herbicide and trait system that will build on glyphosate for exceptional control of tough weeds. The next chapter begins.
Our weed of the week is Broadleaf Signalgrass. Now, with a name like Broadleaf Signalgrass, what is it?
That's confusing, Darren.
Well,
what is it?
It's actually a grass. And what broadleaf signalgrass often gets confused for is large crabgrass because, it kind of looks like it until you look a little bit closer.
Well, with large crabgrass, you're going to have a membranous ligule, and you're not going to have that with the broadleaf signalgrass. There are going to be some tufts of hair on there, so you have to look real closely at that ligule. You might have to pull out your little microscope or a little...
And you can also look at the leaf, because on large crabgrass it's going to be a hairy leaf surface, where the broadleaf signalgrass will have hairs up the stem, but not out on the leaf. The other thing that's really a dead giveaway is broadleaf signalgrass will actually start rooting at the joints. So the joints that kind of lay on the ground can actually send down their own roots. So it does get to be a tough weed. It's a very prolific seed producer, and it's especially a big problem in corn because, of course, it's a grass crop.
Yeah, but in corn, we do have Roundup. This weed has not developed resistance to Roundup, at least yet. So if you go out there with a decent rate of Roundup, you really shouldn't have a big problem,
No,
right?
and if you start with a high rate of a pre, where I think the problem comes in is the Roundup Ready rates they kind of got known as, because guys would say, oh, I'm planting Roundup Ready corn, so I'll just cut my rate back to half the normal rate. All of a sudden, we really started having problems with broadleaf signalgrass. Now, the pre's aren't exactly perfect on it, but you can do a nice job with things like harness, surpass, dual outlook. Even balanced flex isn't too bad, getting a good start on broadleaf signalgrass. Then you come back timely with Roundup or Liberty, or Accent if you have conventional corn, will actually get it up to about 2 inches tall.
It's always more difficult controlling grasses in a grass crop like corn, but when you switch to a broadleaf crop like soybeans, it's really not that tough. You can start with Treflan, Sonalan, Prowl, clean it up with one of the grass killers later on. It's not as big a deal, and of course there is Roundup and Liberty available in Roundup and Liberty soybeans.
Well, this is typically a weed that we see in the southeastern part of the United States. We don't see it as much in the north. In fact, we've never had it on our farm.
Okay, and wheat, Darren, don't have a lot of good answers there, do you?
Well, no, I don't. There's really nothing labeled. I mean, you could certainly try starting out with Prepare Pre-Emerge. At least it's going to give you some suppression. Then post-emerge, you could come back in with the different wheat grass killers. But again, with a weed like broadleaf signalgrass that we just don't have much experience with in wheat, can't give you a great recommendation. I would just say try and get in there real early so the weed isn't big and you'll have a better shot at getting it.
And do everything you can to raise a great wheat crop and choke that signalgrass out. Well, once again, our weed of the week is broadleaf signalgrass. That's all our time for the weed. But stay tuned, Iron Talk is coming up next.